Should over-75s be let off if they refuse to pay their TV licence? This might be you they're talking about here. We'd love your calls, 020 7862 2222. So it's on the front page of the I newspaper, and it's quite a good little scoop if it's true, this, that basically if you're over 75 and you fail to pay your licence fee, you're going to get quietly let off. It's not a publicly announced thing, so it's not like they're announcing that from now on, if you're over 75, you can take crisps from a newsagent without paying. But it's a bit like that. It's an unofficial amnesty. Meanwhile, there are still people as old as 100 who are paying, and that's because I guess they're being charged. I mean, we were talking about our mums in the office, and somebody said, "Oh, my mum will just stop paying now." And I said, well, my mum will do my mum will be the person who pays because she understands that she is supposed to pay, even if there's no penalty attached to not paying. It's tricky, this, Mike.
Well, my mum would be exactly the same, God rest her soul. She'd chase somebody down the street if she owed them 10 shillings, you know, for a bottle of milk or something like that. But I'm very much in favour of this, and I quite...
Well, letting people off, so I don't choke my tea out there.
Sorry?
You're very much in favour of saying to people, this is how much it costs, but you don't have to pay.
No, because they're not doing that. So I was going to say I am in favour of the BBC attitude to this, and that is turning a blind eye to people over the 75 who are not paying. Because in the past, we have seen these dreadful stories where the BBC have bombarded somebody aged 80 with 23 final notices. You've got to pay. It's bad optics, and it's awful behaviour towards old people. So,
are you in favour of if somebody's older, they should be allowed to, let's say, go into a supermarket and remove...
No, of course not. Of course not. Of course not. To get back to the beginning, I think the BBC funding structure should be torn apart and put back together again. I don't think we should all have to pay the £174 a year at risk of going to jail if we don't pay it. It's a tax, it's imposed upon us, and you shouldn't impose taxes on people at 75 if they're worried about paying it. I will always pay it when I get to over 75, but I know a lot of people at 75 who won't be able to pay it, and therefore they should be allowed.
What do you think, Yasmin?
Well, the thing is, I am 75.
So now, OK, the moral issue here is...
I am very happy to pay the licence fee. And, you know, it's very, very interesting. We mustn't get... There are people who can't afford it and they should not be pursued. And actually, there is a kind of 800,000 free licences for people over 70 who claim pension credit, the people who can't afford it. That already exists.
I'll give you a little fact. The BBC ended, just one sec, it ended universal free TV licences for over 75s in 2020. Figures show they haven't prosecuted anybody over that age who's been found to be not paying.
Exactly. But here is something, we have to get rid of this idea because it's so all-consuming that all old age pensioners live in dire poverty. David Willits,
a lot of them are.
No, actually, we are the most.
I say a lot of them are.
David Willits,
one in four is a millionaire.
David Willits, who was
75%
Can I say something, please? David Willits, who was a Tory minister and so on. He was very interesting this week when he spoke about the triple lock and how that has left a vast number of us extremely well off compared to the young families and so on.
Because the annual pension is about 12 grand now?
But the triple lock, which has been 10 years?
Yeah.
So all I'm saying is, again, like everything else, like child benefits and so on, we should give to those who we should look after to those who can't afford it. But let's not assume all old age pensioners are in that situation.
No, I understand. I was going to say, only because I was just reading the autocue here, 30,000 younger people were prosecuted for evading the licence fee in 2024. So we can see in the numbers that they don't go after the oldies.
Absolutely. Which
I don't know whether, you see, Mike, it's a bit like I'm told that if I get out of a particular train station, the barriers are low enough that I could vault them and no one will catch me.
Yes.
Does that mean I should be vaulting them?
No, of course not. This is a totally different sort of subject that we've got to look at, an object. We have to pay the BBC's licence fee. And in this day and age, I mean, I think I subscribe to 6 different streaming channels, you know, Netflix,
what are
Disney,
and how much do you pay them?
Paramount.
How much do you pay them?
I think the average is about, 25 quid a month or something like that. I'm not sure. But so what I'm saying...
£300 a year.
Sorry?
It's £300 a year times times 6. That's £1,800 a year.
But you don't resent that?
I don't resent that, and on top of that, I pay a huge amount for Sky and football. Okay, that's another. I think that's £174 a month or something like that. So it's all adding up. But what I'm saying is, why should anybody have to pay the BBC by dint of criminality when everything else is of your choice?
Well,
why isn't it a choice anymore?
It's hard for me because obviously I have a job at the BBC. And I want to turn out to be the BBC guy. But the answer they always give is it's the least worst system they can think of.
And public service broadcasting is essential for a civilised society.
No,
it really is essential.
Why has Trump closed it in the States?
Yeah.
Trump has closed
PBS.
NPR.
PBS used to be a really important big voice in America.
Yeah.
And all these commercial stations, I find it incredible that people are happy to pay all this money for streaming and so on, but resent paying for something like the BBC. Now, BBC often makes me very cross. Think of what you get for this amount of money.
They get some minority audiences, and I'm supposed to pay for it.
It's not a minority audience.
There are very minority audiences.
But isn't that part of... As a society, we accept, let's say, I don't really watch a lot of opera, but I don't want opera to vanish.
No, well, neither do I, but I don't want to pay for it either because...
But you do pay for it.
I don't pay for it.
No, you do through the Arts Council, you pay for it.
I don't pay for it voluntarily. I don't want to pay for it.
So would you withhold your money because you don't go to the opera, you don't go to the National Gallery, so I'm not paying?
Well, they are all in London. Yeah. Heather in Hampshire, hello.
Hello, good morning to everybody.
I'm trying to get you a word in edgeways here, Heather. What would you like to say?
I would like to say that I'm 80. I don't know how to stream. I don't have broadband. I don't have a smartphone. And for me, if I miss a programme, it's gone. It's lost. It's really, the service for me has reduced enormously.
Oh, so I see that because you think, and this is a very good point actually, the BBC does put a lot of licence fee money into what is called its iPlayer, which is the streaming thing, which you can't get, Heather.
No, I don't. No, I don't have an internet I've never Googled in my life, so no.
Hang on, if you've got a telly, you can get iPlayer, can't you?
No, you
can't. The BBC shouldn't be doing that. I agree with you, Heather. I think it should be absolutely, in the old-fashioned way, staying with that. And, you can do this other stuff on the side. But it has become impossible. Like Heather, I find it impossible to negotiate the iPlayer system.
Do you?
Yeah.
What's going on?
I'll tell you, it's really sometimes totally confusing the way it works.
Well, it doesn't have channel. I think the thing is, Heather, you're well out of this if you're not on digital. But the thing that the iPlayer throws you on, first of all, is that it doesn't organise it by channel, which is how we think.
Yes.
It organises it by genre. So if you're looking for Fleabag, you don't look BBC Two. You don't look... There's no schedule. You can, but you've got to really burrow into it. You actually just look up comedy and then... But in the end, they've had to do this because otherwise they won't have a young audience, Yasmin. I mean, the idea of saying you can have it...
a young audience.
They can have it.
They shouldn't be seeking a young audience.
No, they shouldn't be seeking a young audience. Well, I mean, crikey, didn't they try to invent an equivalent to boom radio just to go seek an audience again, and that didn't work?
I want to ask Heather, before we let you go, Heather, now we know that they're not going after people over 75, would you stop paying your licence fee?
Well, I did actually stop paying it, and I sent my television back to the shop and got the letter to say I didn't have one. And then my son insisted that I needed one, and he started paying for me.
Oh.
Silly man. I know.
Yeah, well, I mean, what a lovely son. But I think it is good to have. Also, the radio, I suppose, I hope...
The radio, I mean, how many stations?
But you can listen to the radio without paying the licence fee. That's the funny old quirk. Yeah.
I'm not sure you can, because you listen to your radio through your TV screen these days.
Well, if you do that, it's different.
And then you have to pay for having a TV.
I don't listen to the radio through the TV.
I don't.
There's some weird stuff going on today. After the break, we'll talk some more about technologies we haven't heard of. Should older people be let off for not paying their licence fee? 020. Now, more calls on whether over 75 should be let off for not paying their licence fee. 020 7862 2222. And if you are over 75, whether in these circumstances you think, well, I'm going to pass on this. Val in Worcestershire, hi.
Hi, Jeremy.
I have to ask everyone's age today. Do you want to declare your age?
My age, I'm 71.
Oh, okay. So you're if you don't pay your license fee, you may still get busted.
Precisely, but I'm more annoyed about the fact I've got a 93-year-old dad who has to pay his license fee.
And he's not living in the same house as you, obviously, but he's...
No, he isn't. Unfortunately, I live 150 miles away from Dad, but he's housebound. Television is his lifeline. He's also got dementia. And I just think it's shocking that it was ever taken away, the free licenses for over 70s.
Well...
What annoys me as well is that we hear a lot about rich pensioners. And in theory, on paper, my dad looks as though he's okay, but he relies on carers. Carers cost a lot of money. If you take all that into account, my dad's actually in a deficit every month.
Yeah, and a lot of it, of course, when they say 1 in 4 pensioners is a millionaire, they're looking at the house, and you can't, if you sell your house, you're then homeless. So It's not a solution. I hope your dad's okay, though, Val. That sounds really stressful for you.
It's not an easy situation to be in, but he's doing great. But I think, something needs to be done. They've had the winter fuel payment taken away. For goodness sake, give them back a free licence. What harm would it do to give them back a free licence?
Well, it sounds, by default, the TV line... I don't want to misinterpret
well,
the story, but it sounds like if he could stop paying and he won't get done for it.
Well, I was going to say, Val, do you not admire the BBC for the compassion they seem to be showing for the over-75s?
I do indeed, but I act on my dad's behalf as POA.
Yeah.
As POA, I cannot not pay his bills.
Yeah, I see. Yeah.
The yes and no. I mean, obviously, if it's like the church collection, which it seems to be like, you can just wait. That embarrassing thing where you say, you wave it by. Do you ever do that?
Yeah,
in church?
Pass it on. Yeah.
Sorry, I don't understand. Sorry, Val, if you pay, it's. I don't understand.
So she has power of attorney over his affairs.
Yeah, but it's still for your dad, so the exemption would apply, wouldn't it?
Yeah,
it's not an exemption.
It's not an exemption.
It's they're turning a blind eye.
Yeah, blind eye would apply.
Here's the other thing, Val, which I have to hit you with. The BBC say today, wait, if everyone over 75 stops paying, it would cost them 500 million a year.
$500 million.
$500 million?
Yeah.
Now, does that change the situation, Val?
Well, it must have been costing them that when they were giving away free licences, and they're still in business. So.
Yeah, I think it was subsidised by I think basically what happened was this. Gordon Brown brought it in, initially subsidised by the government.
That's right.
Passed the cost on to the BBC.
And then it had
who
to
then
stop.
said, we can't do this.
Yeah, that's right.
Thank you, Val. Best wishes. Sonia, I love that name. Argyll and Bute. Hello.
Hi there.
Sonia with a Y or a J?
Jay.
How are you doing?
I'm doing great, yeah, thanks for asking.
Not at all.
So my point, Jeremy, is that as a consumer, well, I don't want to give any money to the BBC because I don't agree with it anyway, for political and moral reasons. But
do you agree with saying with street lighting? Or? Sorry, go on. Well, there's. I mean, I don't particularly appreciate street lights, for example. I don't think we need them. Could I avoid paying for them?
Well, do you disagree with them politically?
Well, I don't think we need them.
Okay. Well, I don't need the BBC.
Sure.
So why is it when I go and buy a TV, and I pay £800 for a TV, I then have to pay a yearly price just to use my TV, even though I don't want to watch the BBC.
I know. It's a hard one, isn't it? Mm. And the answer is, I mean,
so
again,
where's my consumer rights? Where's the trading stance? Why have I?
But it's like, isn't it like
to use my own TV?
I know. But isn't the answer to that as a society we've decided certain things, and we may change our minds on this, and one of them is that we're going to. Oh, you keep interrupting.
Yeah,
okay, go on. Yep.
Sorry.
No, just to say that one of them seems to be we have a public broadcaster that does public service broadcasting, as it's called. Now, that definition may have died, but we do sometimes all decide things on each other's behalf. And so, for example, you're taxed as a childless person to pay for education, which you are not using.
So if I pay a TV licence, then I'm going to end up paying for somebody else who might not be paying the TV licence to use it.
Well, there you you hit the absolute nail on the head, because that is the issue with this thing. Once over 75s know they don't have to pay, why should Sonia pay, Yasmin, when she doesn't even want to watch it?
Because there is such
you tell her, because it's not, I don't feel I should.
I have a lot of sympathy with your anger with the BBC, because I share it these days a lot.
I bet for different reasons, though.
But I still think there's enough on across the board on the BBC, and I do believe there's such a thing as society, and the BBC has been a force for good
Sonia,
throughout
come back
my
on
life here.
At the end of the day, I think it comes down to my consumer rights. There's no other TV channel that can force me to pay them money every year without watching them.
I agree.
So why do I have to do it to the BBC?
Yeah.
It's not about consumer rights. Everything doesn't come down to consumer rights. There's something other than that. And it's wonderful to be able to watch without adverts every 15 minutes.
This public broadcasting that you talk about, Yasmin, what does that mean? Oh, so it's public broadcasting, therefore it's looking after tiny minorities of people watching programmes that hardly anybody wants.
I don't think the figures are as low as you say. You might not be watching.
Yeah.
I don't think the figures are as low
They
as
are.
you say.
They
Sonia,
are. They couldn't exist in the commercial world.
Take care, Sonia. Thanks for sparking a great discussion. The person who doesn't want to watch the BBC has to pay, while the pensioner who doesn't have to pay. That's the kind of the madness. Leslie in Cambridgeshire, hi. I've got to ask your age, Leslie.
Yes, I'm 78.
Right. So as of this, if this story is true, you will not get prosecuted if you don't pay for your BBC. What do you think?
Well, I've just, as a law-abiding citizen, I've just paid it.
Okay.
Which is annoying me because, I could have got away with it. But my state pension is £168 a week.
Yeah. I
have got savings, so therefore I can't get any benefits whatsoever. So I find it very, very difficult. So that £174.50 for the BBC is over what my weekly state pension is. So, and I'm sick and tired of the government saying the triple lock. Well, I think my state pension increased by £7 a week because I'm on such a low state pension.
Right.
But
you're not being taxed, are you? That's the other thing that's driven people absolutely potty. Is getting taxed.
Well, I will because I have to take out my savings, which brings me, because I can't live on £168 a week.
Yeah. Well, it sounds, Leslie, if you were paying your TV licence next week, you would actually decide to swerve it and not pay.
Yeah, I paid it because it's due on the 31st.
Sure.
And I've already paid it.
It's a big, just remembering of, the margins that people are on. Like if your boiler goes, that can be £8,000.
Oh,
Where do people get it from? Easy, yeah. It could be 12.
Easy. And our last call is absolutely right. State pension weekly 168, BBC licence 174, wiped out a week's pension, wiped out her money to buy food, to pay for heating, for transport, all gone.
Yeah.
All gone.
Right. Well, I'll leave it like that. I think we can't say any more. Thank you, Leslie. Thank you for all your calls. Very interesting. Later, we'll be asking if it was okay for police to taser a 92-year-old. You won't believe the film of this. And they've got off it as well. After the break, though, should nurseries...